I'm taking a look at Tumbling Dice from the Stones today from the Exile on Main Street album. And as a note, my guitar is in open G tuning. You can see that I'm capoed, but without the capo on, Keith has his guitar tuned to an open G tuning. And what that means is the 6th string comes down a whole step to D, the A string comes down a whole step to G, and then the D, the G, and the B stay in standard tuning, and then the first E string comes down a whole step to D as well. And then what we do is we place the capo at the 4th fret, which puts the song in the key of B. So I'm just covering the rhythm guitar part. I tossed in that little lead lick at the beginning, so I'll cover that. But mainly just the rhythm guitar part. And of course, as I always say with my Stones lessons, loose is the name of the game, okay? So I'll show you how I play this and some of the pocket rhythms that are in the song. But of course, Keith is all over the place when it comes to just even playing his own songs, okay? So the first thing we have is that opening riff, which is really nice. And I'll be labeling the frets, so to speak, from the capo. So this would be the 1st fret, the 2nd fret, and the 3rd fret, and so on. So the first thing we do, we've got a double stop. You can see the tab on the screen, but we have a double stop across the B and the G string, and we're sliding it. So that's the 1st fret, again, 1st fret from the capo on the B string, 2nd fret on the G string, and we slide it up a whole step and back. And then pull off with your 2nd finger, leaving that finger on the B string so they kind of sound together. And then we move to the 2nd fret on the D string, and then finally open. So we have... And then for this next part, you can slide it or bend it. I think I've actually seen him do it both ways, but mostly sliding it for sure. But it sounds on the recording like a bend to me out the gate. I could be wrong. Either way, right? So you can either bend it and release it or slide it. Sounds good either way, right? And as I say, he does slide it most of the time, so you can go ahead and do that as well. And then we're into the groove, all right? And I'm basically hanging out on the A, the D, the G, and the B string. If you happen to hit the 1st E string, that's fine as well. So what you have out the gate is that. So it's open twice, on, and the chord is the 1st fret on the B string, and then the 2nd fret on the D string. So it's pretty simple chord-wise to play. Now once you do that, he's kind of playing on the upbeat. He strikes it on the downbeat. And then it becomes more like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. So it's got that definite upbeat feel to it once he locks into the groove. Nice little Stonesy pocket there. I'm just covering the rhythm guitar part, like I said, but if you want to toss in that lick that I played at the beginning of the video, it's... So I'm on the B string at the 3rd fret, and I'm going to play 5 bends. But the first 4 bends are just full step bends. You don't release it. The 5th one does get released. And then the 2nd fret on the G string, full step bend and release. So if you want to toss that in, it's kind of fun to do. And then you're into the verse. verse, okay? So once Mick starts singing, we're just cruising along on that pocket. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like I said, you're cruising away on that pocket, but you've got to bring it sort of back around to that downbeat again to go up here and play this part. So what I do is I play this. So on that fourth one, and that puts us nicely back to the downbeat for playing up here. So one more time on that. So by doing that, it puts us nicely on the downbeat to move up to this chord right here, which lands on the downbeat. So I'm barring across the first 5 strings at the 7th fret from the capo again. And then bring your second finger down to the 8th fret from the capo on the B string, and then the 9th fret from the capo on the D string. Classic Stones. And you just go on and off like that. So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm going back to the open strings and once again to that chord we started out with. So that part, nice and slow, is... So you can see I'm using the same chord shapes for the next little part here. This is the part that is varied the most on the recording. If you listen to it carefully, it's always a little bit different the way he plays it. But we now find ourselves at the 5th fret from the capo. And you can see I'm doing the exact same thing that I did up here. The exact same chord shapes. And you can vary it a lot. Bringing it up a whole step again. Or probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 different things that you could do with it. Just keep it nice and loose, okay? So let me put that all together for you. So, as you can see, after I played that another time, I went to the... That's a really cool part. I really love that. And they play it one time, and then they play it 2 times the next go around. And then, of course, they loop it at the end of the song. And that's all the parts to the tune. So let's go over that part right there. So we're playing the same double stop that we started the whole song with. But we're not sliding. Instead, you'll hammer on to the G string at the 2nd fret, playing the B string simultaneously, then pick it open, then do the same thing on the D string at the 2nd fret, but now bring in all 3 strings. Very sweet. And then slide from 2 to 4 and back to 2 on the A string. Then open A string and do that twice. So we have... Now that's interesting right there because where he puts that in the groove, he kind of varies it a little bit. So listen real carefully to the original recording for that, but I love the way he plays that. So at the end, you can see that I did a little hammer on, and you can also do it here. You hear a lot of variations in the Stone stuff, right? So that little hammer-on happens on the D string. So we've got an open D string, hammered to the 2nd fret, and then an open G string right at the tail end of those slides. And you're back to the groove. And again, you can also do that off of the 6th string. Sounds really sweet as well. Right there, right? It's got a little bit more meat to it. And then you just lock back into the groove, and like I said, later on they play that twice, so after you get done with the little hammer-ons, you play it again. And then of course they loop it over and over again at the tail end of the tune. So there we go with Tumbling Dice from the Stones' Exile on Main Street album, one of my favorite Stones albums actually. And I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson as always, and peace to everyone, and we'll see you real soon.